honestly think that the ability to be able to work independent is, and what I mean by that is not necessarily be an introvert where you don't want to work with anyone else,
Yeah.
but be able to come in, evaluate a thing, and be able to say, okay, this needs to be done. And that's what sticks out to me when I have workers, is having someone who's a hard worker, that is going to get the job done, and be able to come in and say, okay, not necessarily look for a list and say, okay, these are what I need to do. Because they could walk by a dead animal and say, oh, it's not on the list, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But no, be able to come in, use your sense. That's why God gave it to you. You look at your eyes, right? What do you see? Smell. You smell anything rotting? All right. Do you hear any filters blowing up? Do you know? Don't taste anything, but you know, use your senses, and that's the best way of figuring out what needs to be done. I think we have a smaller size zoo. I mean, the building is about 1,400 square feet. Okay. Then we have an outside run, 2 outside runs that are probably 100 feet away from each other in the winter time. In the summer it's much bigger because there's a lot of things out bottom and all that stuff. But it might take you 10 minutes to walk around the whole place. In those 10 minutes you can even make a good evaluation list of what needs to be done. And so that's what I really want people to be doing. Being able to multitask. In my personal opinion, that is not necessarily a trait that everyone has. But it's also very, very useful. When I'm working downstairs, it's usually either at 6 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night, where I'm done with everything else or I haven't started anything else, so I can work on this. And I'm not going to stand there and hold a hose when everything else needs to be done. The hose is going to fill itself. You can put the hose in. It's going to take 20 minutes to fill up. So go do a different job. Start sorting out the food. Figure out what we need, okay? All jobs don't need all your attention at all the time. And you can do more than one job at a time. At least in my opinion, you can.
Yeah.
I think some people, that's a harder task, and that's fine. And then also the last thing is I think being able to prioritize. Obviously you need to make sure that animals are being clean, fed, enrichment, but knowing how to prioritize those. If you only have a set amount of time, every human being has a set amount of time in a day, okay, and in your life. So you have to prioritize what you want to do in your life, right? If you have a list of 6 things you want to do in your life, don't wait until the end of your life to do all 6 things.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't know when that day is going to come. Right? In a job, you need to know, okay, there's a list of tasks that need to be done. Right? Here's the priorities. Right? Socialization is huge in zoos. Especially, for example, we have one wallaby. I do want to get another wallaby, but I don't have the money yet. And so, in the meantime, I have him with our tortoises. Just so he has something to now, they're not talking to each other.
Right.
So is it really socializing? Probably really doesn't. It does give him a kind of a companion where he's not literally alone with no moving objects. But it's not the same. So it's important that as humans, we go in there and we do show him affections. We do love on him. And we do emote with him, being a mammal. All that being said, that shouldn't be the priority if there's an animal that comes in that has a compound fracture and is, and so you have to, we have to evaluate. If we have other animals that are, for some reason, they had a massive diarrhea or threw up, and they're in puke or something like that, that should be a priority. And so being able to determine what's a priority versus what is something that we should do, but that's just something more on the back burner.
Right.
So those are the big things that I look at. But and the last one that is usually my first one that I tell people is have common sense. But I feel like that kind of encompasses everything else. Really, common sense is a fun thing that people throw around, which really, what does it really mean? I mean, what we might think is common sense, someone else might think, oh, that's not common sense. My opinion of common sense is them to know, okay, if I'm looking for a cutting board, I'm going to go look in the kitchen.
Right.
It's a good spot to look, okay? If I am using paper towels and I run out of paper towels, I'm just going to leave the paper towel roll there, you know, just so the next person goes to grab a paper towel, and because they're profusely bleeding from being bit by a caiman and there's no paper towels. No, you put a new paper towel roll now. You take out garbage, you put a garbage bag back in. Like anything that I would expect at a normal job, which honestly is becoming a hard thing to teach people in college these days. So that's probably my biggest, every single day I go down there and I have to either send reminders or emails. Hey, I noticed that you clean the countertops. Great job. But the sink, you clean the countertop by just pushing everything in the sink. Oh. The sink looks disgusting. You should probably fix that. So we got to the point where we had to start doing where they had to let me know when they're leaving. I had to go examine everything. It's some people that those types of things, I guess, don't come natural to them.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what an internship is. It's a learning experience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
getting out in the real world.
Absolutely.
Mom and Dad can clean up for you.
And that's a huge problem this semester. We had actually a incident that basically it was very, very awkward because people were doing a lot of hours, which was great, but they were not submitting them. And we had to have a conversation, and I had someone else join the conversation, and it would be like me explaining to you. I mean, I don't know what your deadline for this is, but if your professor said that you had to have this submitted by, let's say, Monday, 12 o'clock, for it to count, what would happen if you submitted it on Thursday?
She would not count it at all.
She wouldn't count it.
She made it very clear.
Exactly.
No late.
And I don't understand how college students don't understand that concept. And so I have a deadline of you have to submit your hours by Sunday if you want it to count. And if you don't want it to count, that's fine. You don't have to submit them. I have one guy who has more hours than he needs. And so he's not submitting his hours right now anymore, but I'm not on top of him because it's not a problem. And so it's hard because part of what I want to do is get you ready for the real life, and any employer, that would be a no-brainer. You don't fulfill your hours, then you don't get paid.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And so how do I properly train someone to do that? Do you keep giving them warnings? On the other hand, if you don't take it serious, I'm really doing a disfavor for him, for them. And so it's kind of like I don't like being the bad guy sometimes, but
well, it's tough because you're not, in their homes, like making sure that they're submitting them on their laptops or anything.
I know.
So
I know, and
it's a life lesson for them.
It is. It is, and we've the one thing that I think that is a benefit towards what I have going for me versus some of the bigger facilities, especially places that are kind of a little bit more stricter on. They have a structure which is great. It really is. But it creates a problem where as things change, it takes longer for flexibility to happen. Which there's a lot of good towards that structure. I'm not downplaying it at all. One thing that I have that I think is a pro, and maybe I'm way off on this, but I take very seriously the evaluations at the end of the semester that the interns do of the internship. And I, almost every single semester, throw the papers up and look at and let's say, okay, let's recreate this. Let's make this better so that each semester this is getting better. My goal was by whenever I'm done, 2020, that this thing is like so perfect that then we can be structured. And so my heart has always been, okay, I realize I'm not perfect. I've never said I was perfect. And so my goal is, if there are things that I'm noticing that people are saying, hey, I thought the internship was good, but you really, really lacked on communication. And that's something that I tell everyone right up front. Okay, it's hard for me to communicate. So this past semester, I had someone who that was their job. Their job was communicating, and so I communicated very easy with him because there's one person I can do that, and his job was just to communicate with everyone else. And everyone would send him all the paperwork, and so it was his job to look at it all, and then he would communicate back to me. So this way, I was only dealing with one person. Because accidentally I had two people with the same name, and one of them I hired and the other one I didn't, and I was sending the person I didn't hire all the emails. And I didn't hire her not because I didn't want to hire her. I didn't hire her because she had the same name as the other person I hired, and I interviewed so many people. I didn't realize that there was two different Melissas, and so I thought I hired the Melissa that I interviewed. And then she showed up again, and another girl showed up to be interviewed, and I interviewed her again, and then when the original Melissa didn't show up, I figured that she was one of the ones that decided not to do the internship. And so I just have too much going on. So I really have been trying to, whatever people evaluate, and a lot of times I think they're afraid. They're going to say, well, he's not going to do a bad review of me. I tell them every time, like, be honest with me. I'm not gonna give you a bad review because you badmouthed me. Honestly, I have too much pride to care what you think. I'm 28. I don't care what you're saying about me in college anymore. Like that's.
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in my own business. I'm not looking to really go in a spot where I'm really caring about what a seniors or juniors saying to me. That being said, I do care, and if it's going to make me a better person. And so if you have something that's going to tell me that will help this, then let me know. And I'm not going to get offended, but I'll use it so that it makes the next person enjoy the internship much better. And I guess that's part of my problem, is I want people to enjoy this too much. I want this to be a time where you guys enjoy working, have fun, and ultimately learn. I don't want you, having to choose whether, all right, do I go out and have fun with my friends, or do I go out and go hang out with some cool animals? Like, I want you to choose the animals. Like, it's fun. It's hot down there, but it's fun. So, I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you again for doing this. I really, really appreciate it. I know you're busy, but thank you. It was great. It was really helpful.
Cool.